it is a balsamic vinegar fruit salad. Now, of course, I did that salad a few weeks ago where we had the balsamic vinegar in it. Balsamic vinegar goes really good with fruit because it helps to pull out the sweetness in the fruit. And so you get that contrast of a little bit of tangy and a little bit of sweetness into it. So they mix really well. Okay, so we're only going to use 1/8 cup of the balsamic vinegar. You definitely don't want to add too much.
You're not straight.
Oh, okay. Now can you see? There we go. I tend to forget about that screen behind me. Okay, so as we're going to add 1/8 of that, the next thing we're going to add, and this is where it makes it a little different, we've got pure mint extract. Now you got to be careful with this because you put too much in it, it's going to be overpowering. If y'all ever use this or almond extract or anything, you know, like with almond extract, it's really potent when you put in the recipes too. Same thing with this, especially if it's in a recipe like this where you're not cooking it down. So you always want to go very lightly with this. And so we're only going to use just 1/2 cap. And I mean, you'll smell it right off, because balsamic vinegar, has a very strong odor in itself, but the mint immediately overpowers that vinegar. That's how strong it is. But when you taste it in with the fruit, it's just a very subtle hint to it. Just enough, we talked about adding fresh mint in other recipes where it adds that kind of coolness, freshness to it. That's what this does to this dish. Okay, now we're going to take some more blueberries, got another cup. And once again, if there's a little juice, that's okay. Just go ahead and mix it in there. Okay, now we're going to take a peach. Now these are chopped up, approximately 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch size. And we're only going to need about a cup of this, or 1 whole peach for this. Now when you're cutting this, you'll notice that there's, in the center, you'll have the seed right in there. Now one of the best ways in digging this out, you can either take the spoon and go ahead and cut it out, but it's still kind of rough and around the shell, it's still a little hard. So one of the best things to do is go ahead and just cut around that. When you do it this way, it's quicker, it's easier, and you're really not wasting that much because that much right there is approximately how much you'd be digging out anyway with the spoon. So go ahead and just cut that out and then cut up the remaining sector to the size that you need. Okay. I'm actually cutting these a little bit smaller than I normally would, but we discussed before, making it for sampling a little better for us. Once again, just toss it in there. Okay, the next thing we're going to work with is our plums. Now the plums right now down in our produce, they're really sweet. Because I've already tried quite a few of these. I love plums, and I'm very particular about my plums. If you ever had a sour plum, it just isn't any good. But these right here are really sweet, and it's really going to help to bring out this dish too. Now I do the same thing with the seeds. Now getting the seeds out of these is a little bit more difficult if you're using the spoon technique. So cutting around it, once again, is the quickest way. Now, as you see, I'm doing it with it down like this. I already pretty much gauge the size of the seed, but if you have to, just keep that up where you can see it and cut around it. And then when you turn it on the side, you can see it right there, and go ahead and cut it. Like so. Just go ahead and toss this about the same size as you did the peach. And you're going to have a lot of different textures in this salad too. And that's another good reason why you want to have it, fairly good bite size. That way you're not just getting a single texture or single flavor. Because it's the combination that really makes this all the worthwhile. Set that up to the side there. Just twist that off. Okay. And this one is another one that, during these hot evenings and stuff, it's great just for a light snack or to serve with the dinner itself. Now with the almost traditional, because it has the yogurt, it's a little heavier. So that one is good for a dessert type fruit salad. Whereas this is served, as a good side dish, but it also goes well by itself. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need to add on is an apple. Now I'm using the Red Delicious apples here. Right now these are really sweet. They're just the right ripeness. Of course, some people may prefer Granny Smith or others, and feel free to use whichever one is your favorite. But with this also, the color is another thing for presentation too. So if you're trying to entertain, using a good bright color combination really helps. And so the red really stands out in this dish. Okay, so now we're going to take a pear. Now the pears, they're actually pretty sweet too this time of year. I've had these, and you can just quarter these. Now these pears, I actually try to cut these up just a little bit smaller, because what you're going to find is that the pear really soaks up the balsamic. And especially as sweet as these are, you don't want to have a very large chunk of these, because where it soaks in the balsamic, because then you'd really get a tangy, over bitterness in the flavor. So we kind of cut these a little bit smaller, and they mix in really well with the salad that way. Now if you get a pear that time of year where they're still a little hard and they're still a little bitter, then you can cut them a little larger, because they don't soak up the juice as much. There we go. As you can see, it's almost half the size of what I was cutting the other ones. Just throw that on in there. And once again, we got pineapple. I went ahead and just used the pre-cut. I mean, if you can save time, that's always a great thing, especially when making dinner at night. If you got a bunch of kids or something, or you're having family or friends over, any way you can save time will definitely help with this. Now, the next one is a mango. And the mango, you want to quarter this too. Now, it's got a fairly large seed in it. You can see where I'm kind of cut along the edge right there on the seed. Okay. Let me go ahead and pull that out there. Oops. Now these we're going to cut about the same as the rest of the fruit. You're looking about a 1/2 inch cut with these. Now these are not quite as sweet, and the texture is a little bit tougher. If anybody's ever had fresh mango, if anybody not tried it, do you want to try a piece? Here. Let me cut you off a piece here, see what you think. And it is a very unique texture in itself. There you go. And it's one of those, some people love eating it by itself. Some people, it's definitely not one of their favorites. But once you mix it in and it soaks it up, it has a little thing on itself, doesn't it? And it's, but when you, okay, you tried it by itself. Now, when you try it with this balsamic vinegar and mint, you'll notice a huge difference in the flavor. Because even though it's a little tougher, it does soak up the balsamic vinegar really well. And the two really complement one another. So make sure and get you a piece of this one when you try that next one. Okay. Then all we got to do is stir all of this up.
Could you put nuts in either one of these?
Actually, yes, you could. Walnuts especially goes really well. Especially with the almost traditional one. Walnuts is something, actually what my grandmother, she used to make that all the time. That's actually where I got that recipe from. And so it's, you could experiment with other nuts if you have different flavors or nuts that you particularly favor. Go ahead and experiment with them. But walnuts definitely has the best flavor, I think, for these. I let them out tonight because I know some people have already expressed allergy problems.